Alright guys, it's Anaru, and this is going to be the Team Snipers gameplay with the basic sniping tips. I was going to throw this up last night, but after reading some of the comments and things on the grading time for Anaru video, I decided to hold off. And I'm going to do this a little bit different than I've done any other commentary, in that I'm just going to record my voice first, and then the gameplay will be thrown over top of it. Because it's going to go past the Team Snipers gameplay length, I can already guarantee you that. But first up is the Team Snipers stuff. I jumped on one game of Halo yesterday. I played the very first match of Team Snipers, and I took that. I explained that in the grading time with the Naru video, because rather than playing over and over and over until I got something super beastly, I think this at least shows a little bit more how I am when I play normally, and I'm not going for something super awesome. Now, that doesn't mean it's my worst game by any means. It's not a bad game at all, but it's just not my best. But kicking off with the tips, the first thing I'd say that would help you with your sniping to be more consistent is your sensitivity. I prefer playing on a lower sensitivity because it allows you to be more accurate. I used to play on a 5, but here lately I've been having problems aiming with that, so about the past 2.5 weeks or so I've actually bumped it down to a 4. And I think somewhere between the 3 to 5 range is probably going to be the best sensitivity for you to snipe on. Because, well, you can get away doing things like 10 sensitivity, especially with like the DMR, because it helps you turn faster and stuff. Sniping needs to be a lot more steady. You don't want to be jerking the aim around as much as you would, like, say, in a DMR battle to keep your 5-shot. You want to be a lot more steady. That way you hit a higher percentage of your shots. So like I said, between 3 and 5 sensitivity is probably the best, but if you play on 10 and you've done it for a very, 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 very long time, then you can probably pull it off just as easy, as long as you're very well practiced with that sensitivity. The second tip that I can give you is that you want to aim more with the left stick than you do the right stick. And that's backwards from everything else. With like the DMR, you want to obviously aim more with the right stick because that is the stick that's meant for aiming. But it's backwards with sniping because, like I said, you need to be a lot more steady. The only two things that you really want to do when you're first starting out and trying to get more consistent is you want to use the right stick for vertical and horizontal movement only. Now that means looking straight up, looking straight down, and from left to right. That's the only ways you want to be moving the right stick. You don't want to be moving it diagonally or in a circular motion or a semicircle. You don't want any of that motion in your sniping at all. Because the best way that I think to aim the sniper rifle, especially when you're starting out, is to try to put the reticle for the sniper rifle at head level, which would be vertical axis, you know, go up and down. You'd bring it up to what you believe is about head level, and then you want to strafe either left or right and try to strafe into the guy and get the headshot that way. You don't want to be, you know, moving back and forth and trying to move the right stick back and forth, because you're not going to be as steady. The sniper rifle focuses on one-shot kills, so you really need to make sure that you're giving yourself the highest percentage of getting that one-shot kill. So that's why I say it's easier to bring your scope up to head level and then strafe back and forth into their head and then fire once the reticle meets their head. Now, another tip for sniping for basics is you always want to try to go for the quick scope over the no scope. Especially when it's medium or longer range, you want to do that over a no scope. A long range no scope's not going to work as well as it will at close range. At close range, you can get away with it if you're able to line up the shot, and you can get away with it sometimes at medium range if they happen to line up perfectly for the shot. But mainly you want to go for the quick scope, and the reason why is because if you put your reticle at head level and then zoom in, even if it's not quite perfectly at head level, the auto aim on the game gets a little bit stronger when you first zoom in with the sniper rifle. So for like the first full second of when you zoom in, you actually get a little bit of extra pull towards the head. So say it looks like you're at head level, but when you zoom in, you're really aiming at like the neck area. Sometimes your reticle will pull up into their face to actually give you the headshot. So that's why you always want to go for the quick scope over the no scope. Another tip is, if you're trying to snipe somebody that's above you, you want to try to get as much on level ground as you can. Now, of course, if they're up on a balcony and you're down at the bottom, that's going to be extremely hard to do. But there's a way that you can help that out. And the main way is by jumping. You guys have probably seen maybe even a couple of times in this gameplay, or like I know specifically in the gameplay where I put awesome start to Team Snipers, I jumped on that triple kill. And the reason why is because if you don't have time to move your reticle upward to try to get over top of the head quicker, you can do things like jumping to supplement that, because if you jump while moving the reticle upward, you'll get to that level of where their hit is faster. So you can use things like jumping to actually help you aim better. Another thing would be, if you know somebody's around a corner, you would want to do the same thing. Put your reticle at what you believe would be head level before you go around the corner. That way you can just go straight into the quick scope and kill them. I believe I put a nice one of those at the end of the gameplay where I gave the shout out to Mr. Paul B. But I believe that one was actually a jump shot. And though there's going to be a couple bonus clips, I'm sure, at the end of this that I'll throw in. But as far as basics, that's really it, except for, say, if you're following someone, like if somebody's in your field of vision but they're running to the right, they're not strafing, but they're actually like sprinting to the right. It's the same thing as whenever they're on a vertical basis. You want to move with them. So rather than jumping, what you would do is you would zoom in, and while you got the beat on them, you want to line up the headshot by pulling your stick over to the right, since that's the direction they're running. But while you're also aiming over to the right, you want to be strafing to the right as well, because if you're moving the same direction they're doing, it's going to take you less time to catch up. So that's another way that it can help you line up the headshot. Now, you don't have to zoom in and then do it. If they're extremely long range, I do suggest zooming in first, but if they're like mid-range, start strafing and then pulling over a little bit and then zoom in when you get closer to the head. But that's really it for basic sniping. I'm not going to go into anything advanced right here. Maybe later in a different commentary I'll go over in it advanced. And I'm sure that the sniping video is already over by this point. I know it wasn't that long. But here's the next thing. On the grading time for a Naru video, there seems to be like an air of people thinking that I am stopping Halo, or maybe something along those lines, or at least telling me to stick with Halo. And I'm not stopping Halo by any means. As long as people on my channel want to see Halo, I will upload Halo. But I made a point in that video that I believe Halo is dying. Some people say that it's just not as popular anymore, but I do believe it is dying. And the point that I believe that it started to die is in 2008 when Modern Warfare 1 came out, or COD 4, whatever you want to call it. When that game came out, there was a pretty noticeable drop in Halo 3 population. And then, of course, when Reach came out, that too, it kind of ruined it even more, because frankly, I see Reach as a flop. I mean, it can be fun when you're playing with friends and things like that, but the game overall is a flop. And I'm a little bit hesitant about some of the things that they're putting in the title update, such as taking the bloom out of some of the playlists. I don't know if removing the bloom completely is the right thing to do, mainly because they're bringing bleed through back, which means, like, you know, you could shoot somebody 3 times with the DMR, then melee them to get a kill, or if the 4th shot in your spam or whatever is a headshot, it'll go through the shields and hit them in the face and give you the kill. And I just don't think that removing the bloom completely is the right thing to do, because the game itself is built around that mechanic. Everything in the game is built around that mechanic. Every gun, the power positions on the map, you could even say, are kind of built around how well you control the bloom. And I don't know if I'm the only one that feels this, but I feel like you can actually spam the trigger on the DMR faster than you could the battle rifle in Halo 3. The battle rifle in Halo 3 felt like it had a little bit of a delay to it, because it had to fire all 3 bullets before you could pull the trigger again, whereas the DMR is a single shot. So the problem I'm foreseeing here is that since Reach is based around bloom, and it's based around more team shotting and anything, since it takes longer to kill, I think what you're going to see happen is, like, even in MLG where people are used to team shotting, it's going to be like boom boom from 2 people. You know, 2 people shooting at one guy, it's going to be boom boom, and the one guy that they were shooting at is dead. Basically like being shot in the face off a spawn by a sniper rifle. And while that does definitely speed up the pace of the game, I think it's speeding it up to a point of almost breaking it. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to like them taking out Bloom completely. Now, I could be wrong, and it could make people more go back to singular personal skill like it did in Halo 3. Obviously there was teamwork involved in things like MLG and Halo 3, but it was more about personal battles, like winning your own personal battles, whereas Reach is more about winning the team battle. And it could kind of go back to that style, but since people have been working on the teamwork factor so much over the past year, I don't foresee that happening. I would say it's still going to be a lot of team shotting, and the games will go by a lot quicker, but I think it's almost it would almost quicken it up to the pace where it would be broken. But that's just my thought on them taking Bloom out. But like I said, I'm not quitting Halo by any means. The thought of Halo dying is just something that I've observed in the past couple of years. I think it is dying. I mean, it may bring people back with the title update, but if the title update happens to be broken, like I'm fearing that it might be, then it's going to put people off of Halo even more than it did before when Reach first came out. And that would be to the point where it almost kills Halo until Halo 4 comes around. If they did Halo 4 right anyway. But I'm not stopping Halo. As long as people want to see it, I'm going to upload it. But the other statement that I made is that I took the hard route with commentary, and it's something that I've noticed about myself in all aspects of my life. I've always taken the harder route, because I firmly believe that you can never truly know what your limits are unless you challenge them. If you never challenge what you preconceive to be your limit, then you can never know how good you really are. So that's why I always choose the harder route, and it's kind of bit me in the ass a couple times throughout my life. I've really made my life harder than it probably should have been by doing that. But I don't regret it. But I'm not under the impression that I'm stopping Halo. I mean, the main reason that I started uploading things like Call of Duty, I think, is because I had a subconscious need to, like, basically say that I could have just as easily fell in with the crowd of Call of Duty commentators. I could have just as easily went out and did nothing but Call of Duty gameplay and commentaries, and by the same 4 or 5 months or however long I've been doing this now, I could have had triple or quadruple, maybe even 5 times the amount of subscribers that I have now. It would have been a much easier route. But I knew going into it when I made my channel that I wanted to be a Halo channel because, 1, there's a lack of Halo commentators. 2, Halo is where I got my start in FPS. I've been with Halo for basically 10 years whenever Anniversary comes out, because I got Halo PC day 1, and I played that game for 3 years straight. But another thing that I know is that Halo commentaries have never been big. It's never been a part of the genre as it has been with Call of Duty, with people like, say, Hutch and Fisticuffs and all of them. They had been doing it. They basically revolutionized commentary over multiplayer gameplay. And I know it's never been there, but like I said, I've always chosen the harder route. All that I was saying, basically, with that, putting up that video as a Black Ops gameplay is, like I've said, I could have just as easily melded in with the Call of Duty community and been like 3 or 4 times as big as I am now. And it kind of makes me sad to know that fact, that I could have easily taken a route that would have gotten me bigger on YouTube faster. But the reason that I chose to go Halo is because I'm not really in this to get like YouTube famous. I'm not in it to get a partnership. Playing Halo is something that I enjoy, especially when I'm playing with friends, and it's a hobby. And I mean, that's the biggest tip that I can give to anybody that wants to start a channel, is you have to do it on something that you actually enjoy, or else you'll fail. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, then your content will not be good at all. But it's just a really weird thought that's come into my mind over the past 2 weeks of, like, if I'd have chosen to be a Call of Duty channel, where would I be now versus where I am doing Halo? Because, like I said, I'm not going for a partnership or anything like that, but actually, if I was offered one, I probably would not turn it down. Because here's a piece of my past. I've always been poor. I never had a lot of cool stuff, and pretty much now is about the only time that I can really buy anything that I want to. When I first got my 360, I didn't have the Xbox. I didn't have the original Xbox. That's why I didn't get much with Halo 2 except for playing at friend's house. When I got my 360, it's because when I was in high school, I went out and got a job. I paid for it myself. I've never had a lot of nice stuff. So, like, if I was offered a partnership, I'm not saying that I would turn it down, but that's not why I'm in it. I'm in it because Halo is something that I enjoy, and because basically commentary, I think, is something that helps you grow as a person. Because before I started my channel, as I've said before, I had no prior speaking experience. I'm always the guy that just has a couple close-knit group of friends. I'm not somebody that is very big socially. I don't have, like, 2,000 friends on Facebook or anything like that. That's never what I've been about. But it's gotten to the point where if I had to absolutely get up in front of, say, 500 people and give a speech, I could probably do it much easier now than I could when I first started my channel. I would probably be stuttering and slurring and losing my train of thought and all those things a lot easier. But that's basically all I wanted to say about the other gameplay, is that I'm not stopping Halo. Just don't expect me to upload purely Halo to my channel, because I was a Call of Duty player for like 2 years straight, and that got very boring and stale to me. And I don't want to do that with Halo. I mean, especially with Reach, I'd probably get bored of it faster because of how broken the game is. So, just don't expect only Halo gameplay, but I will primarily be a Halo channel. But every now and then, I'm going to want to upload something like Black Ops, just to take a break from Halo for a while, because if I do nothing but Halo and I get bored, my commentary is going to get worse. My videos themselves will get worse. I'll probably start playing worse, and I'll just get frustrated and angry, and that'll just come through in my gameplays. So I'm not stopping Halo. Just don't expect to see purely Halo on my channel. Every now and then I'm going to want to upload something else. But the two last things that I wanted to say here is, one, if you guys haven't noticed, this has been longer than 15 minutes, which means that, yes, they have finally taken away my time limit cap on my videos. I can now upload videos longer than 15 minutes, which opens up some new doorways, which means I could do some things like big team battle gameplays or invasion gameplays or something like that. It'll also make it easier for when Anniversary comes out, since I wanted to do a let's play of the campaign, since that is the campaign that got me hooked on Halo. But the last thing I wanted to say is, a couple of you guys have voiced, like, maybe you would enjoy me doing a lot more live commentaries, because you get to see how I act and my reactions to things at the time and not afterwards. So I think I'm going to start up another series that I'm going to call First Attempt. And basically what it'll be is, it won't be limited to, say, like, my first game of the day, even though I'll probably do a couple of those. First Attempt, in my mind, will basically be, say, if I've played objective playlist all day long and then I switch over to snipers or I switch over to SWAT, those take a different skill set to play than playing team objective, where I'm going all about the win, all about the objective. So I would just switch over, and whatever my first game is would be the game that goes up on YouTube, and it would be live commentary, but it would not be commentary about any particular subject. Basically, it would be an insight to how I'm thinking whenever I'm playing the game. I would do it play-by-play style, I guess you could say. Like, I'm going to tell you what my opening route's going to be, why that's my opening route, why I'm doing this, why I'm doing that, why I'm in this area. I'll be timing power weapons, things like that. It'll just be how I normally play in the first attempt at doing the commentary and the gameplay. It's not going to be me sitting there playing 4 or 5 games until I get a good one. I'm just going to take the first game that I get, win or lose, and I'm going to upload that. But this commentary is rolling on to almost 20 minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys, and I'll talk to all of you later.